Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining. Today we'll be discussing the last part of the data platform. And as I mentioned, this series is focused on Azure AZ 303 exam. So we'll be discussing the Azure Synapse today. That is the last part of the data platform. As I mentioned, like previously, we gone through lots of topics around the data platform. Let's recap that quickly. So from the AZ30 perspective, I think we have covered network, storage, compute, some level of I think most of the infrastructure operations we covered. So today's we are aiming to close the data platform because we already like 3-4 sessions we talk about. I think 4 sessions we already discussed data platform. Today we'll be discussing the Azure Synapse, and by that we can complete this topic. So during the topic, the data platform, we gone through all of these areas where you can see in the right hand side the Azure services which you explored and which you get benefit, and sometime the exam will ask the question related to the services and the industry standard terminologies. So whatever we discussed, please remember that. If you are missing that again, probably like our YouTube channels, you can view the recorded sessions. So today's focus is on the data warehousing with Azure Synapse. And so before goes to that, because it's been like a long journey, right, on this topic, just to recap, when it comes to the data platform or modern data warehousing, in the world of big data and the next generation modern world, right? So now we need to understand the key items. Most of the things you learned from the previous sessions, like velocity, variety, and volume. So these are the challenges in the big data world, even in the data, even without the data, big data. In the normal data management, these are the main challenges we have. So how these are addressed by the Azure services, which is the one we explore. In this diagram, you can see the typical framework: injection, load and injection, and then the data store. Then you have the processing, like ETL processing. Then you present that information into data visualization or store it in the DBs, which can be consumed by the applications. So this is the typical data platform or data warehousing layer: injection, store, analyze, and present. So in this one, we explore, like for injection, previously we used to have a data factory. For storing, we used to have a data lake, next generation 2. Then the processing wise, you have a data brick, stream analytics. The visualization wise, you can use Power BI or other industry standard visualization tools. So these are the components we discussed. So Azure Synapse is the combination of most of the things here, because it comes with the underlying data lake storage and also provides you the platform where you can use the relational databases in a scale. Either it could be like a provision or on demand. If you remember when we discussed.
Karthik, Karthik, Synapse is the what is the equivalent of Synapse in the non-cloud world? Just to understand, relate.
If you remember in the past, we used to have a SQL data warehouse, right?
Data warehousing. Okay.
So this is the next version of SQL data warehouse.
Okay, understood. Okay, thanks.
Okay. The MPP, the parallel processing compute, massive parallel processing, right? That is the SQL data warehouse. Where non-premise used to have a SQL server and multiple nodes are connected and supported. In the cloud world, before they announced Azure Synapse, this used to be a SQL data warehouse in Azure. Now they renamed it. Along with that, they have included some of the capabilities which we'll be exploring today. It's pretty much like your data injection is covered by Synapse, data storage is covered by Synapse, because Synapse is using underlying Azure data lake storage only. So this is more of like a complete package for your data warehousing.
Okay.
And this comes with your management, like you can use variety of query languages for any
Mm.
analysis. And also it comes with the provision and on-demand model. If you remember, when we talk about Azure SQL, we had a couple of topics like provision and SQL pool and serverless pool and
Mm.
provision pool, right? The same concept applicable here. So you have provisioned SQL pool and also serverless pool. The advantage you already know that serverless, it's more of like it is not going to use your underlying resources. It's more of like on-demand basis. This will create and shut down. And then you have the analytical runtime. Either you can do a SQL-based query analysis, or you can also use Apache Spark. This is also the modern machine learning related topic. I'm not familiar with Apache Spark, but in the high level, I'm familiar, but not from the data science perspective. But I can cover up in the upcoming sections more about the Apache Spark. But today's we'll be focused on the high level Apache Spark, how the Apache Spark can be used. Then this complete package, it gives you um, data warehouse capability. This is the
What
image
is
of
there for the transformation, Karthik? What will we have for transformation? Like, see, we
ETL.
do have ingestion, extract, and all those things as there. What is
Yeah.
there anything for data transformation?
SQL queries, or you can
Mainly
use
this.
this. Yeah. So the transformation is the one either you use analytical runtime. So the analytical runtime is the one you will be used for your ETL, which can
Okay.
be SQL based or Apache Spark based.
Okay. Okay.
And this image I have taken from some website called that is Modern Data Warehouse. So they are given a complete package. But this example, you can see the before changing this Azure Analytical Service, you see like injection data warehouse, the typical how the changes happen, like in a complete package. If it comes to an analytical service, Azure Synapse is the complete package. Otherwise, you have to have individually all the component. But this is more of like a data warehousing concept, right? It's not like it can be used for big data, but it is compared to other services. Synapse is a little bit expense, but that can be covered later. How much cost different, and some of the features like this can provide you the massively parallel processing architecture, and also like a workload management, the cell sets in cache, the analytical, the ETL process, whatever we did, the data if you want to visualize, it can support the result set cache, materialized view, and also it provides a CI/CD for your analytics. The other scenarios to remember, like even any cloud, this four items you will be remembering. uh, Key to remember: analytical types, right? Descriptive analytics, what is happening in my business. So if what is happening in my business means like we need to have the data already, historical data. That data we need to analyze. So that covers more of descriptive analytics. Diagnostic analytics is what is happening like in the based on the real-time data, like the data trends based on your data you will be analyzing. Also, predictive analytics is what is likely to happen in the future based on the previous trends and patterns, which I'll talk about in a couple of seconds. Then the prescriptive analytics is real-time and real-time analysis data. So you can see the four different ways the analytics are explored. How Azure Synapse is supported? You know that Azure Synapse has the SQL pool serverless, which can support underlying Azure data lake storage. So additional to that, you have the predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. You can because it is closely integrated with the Apache Spark. You can also perform these predictive analytics in the real time. So all these major four analytical types are supported by Azure Synapse. That is why we are saying like that this is a complete package for your data warehouse. So if I show you a couple of things from maybe like this article is helpful for you guys to go through when you get time, like Azure Synapse analytics, right? It also comes with your studio, like it is like a complete package with the workspace comes. The workspace will have your data integration, management, monitoring, and security. All the capabilities are inbuilt, and you have the underlying storage. Also, you can see the data you can visualize using Power BI. Also, you can use Azure machine learning closely integrated with that. Other areas which I can also, you can see like data injection, 90 different type of data sets are supported. That is another key to remember. And pretty much like other areas we talk about, like it supports role-based access control, it supports the CI/CD process. Okay, let's jump on the demo. Probably like this will give you more background. So if you want to create your Azure Analytics space, then you go to Synapse, Azure Synapse. Then you click Add. So in other demos also we select pretty much you have to select your subscription. You need to have your own resource group. If you already have existing one, you can select it. Otherwise, you create one. Also, you have a managed resource group, which is addition to this. This helps you to create. It's more of like a grouping of containers. It's also act as a master one. If you already have one, you can select that. Otherwise, you can ignore. It's not a mandatory. So in this example, I'm going to select create one, like a resource group. I'll just say June 05. Then I need to provide my workspace name, which I can provide. So for example, I'm just going to follow the materials here. Like my workspace is the name I'm granting, and then I will select. Okay, I'll select key extra word and then say UK South. So another option, like as I mentioned, this Azure Synapse Analytical is also uses underlying data lake, right? If you already have one, you can provide that by manually via URL, or you can also select from the subscription. So now we are going to create a new one, which will like I will just have some sample name, Counter Lake space. Okay. Shouldn't be taken, it's a new one. Yeah. And maybe this one. Okay. Then I provide account name. And then I provide the file system name for the data lake storage. Then in this next one, like if you can see, like at the time of creating, it also helps us to assign the contributor permission for the users. So the next one, we can create a SQL administration account. So I have this, and I'm going to say, if you want to enable your encryption, you can enable that, but for demo, we can skip that. The networking, if you want to assign other networking, you can select, but for now I'm enabling connections from all IP addresses. Then we can review the settings we selected, and once you selected, then once you reviewed everything, you are good to go for creation. It will just take a couple of seconds to create. Once done, we can explore the view how the Synapse Studio look like. Any of you already worked in data warehouse before?
No, Karthik.
No.
Haven't worked.
Okay. Pretty much like the data warehouse is in the modern world, right? Your historical data, your current relationship data. If you want to analyze based on your historical for any trend you want to create it and send it to your management, this is how the performance is happening. But the previous model, right, in the industry, it's historical data and the data on the application level, but always the reporting, it's based on the historical data model. But in the modern world, you have more demand on real time, so they wanted to see everything in the real time. Before, like we always we take this example, right? They told when the number of cars are going and coming, what we used to do, like we used to have um, some sort of like a ticketing, the ticket data we collected, and we know that these many cars are traveled, right? Then the data stores in the database, then you are running a query against your database. But these days, everything they wanted in the real time. So the data we capturing automatically send it to some sort of like a event hub, and then real time stream analytics. And from the stream analytics, you need to run a query. For that, you may need to use some machine learning technologies, then the data visualization. So the trend is keep on changing, and data science and data engineering is currently in the market, is really like a demanded skill sets. It shouldn't take this much time. I have downloaded some sample data for nearly like 100K rows are in the data set for a New York taxi cab demo content, which I will be uploading to this data lake once the Synapse is created. Is anyone try to create any sample? Are you exploring Azure portals? Like, have you created any trial version sufficiency?
Yeah, yes, Karthik. I have subscribed to a trial version.
Okay.
I'm using it now. Yeah, so I was just trying to replicate whatever we're doing in classes. Yeah.
Okay, super. So in case if you need any material for playing around in offline, then let me know. I can send you the the quick start materials where I found from the MSD, like the Microsoft portals. Okay,
Yeah.
so now the Synapse is created. Now let's go to the resource group, and this is my workspace, right? So you can see here what it creates in the resource group. There is one Synapse workspace and also for a storage account. And when I go to this workspace, it's pretty much for other settings. In the left hand side, you have all the connections, but this addition comes with that management studio. So when I click the studio, it opens me the Azure Synapse Analytical Space. So you can see here, this is, as I said, because this is complete package, injection, data exploring, analyze, and then visualize, everything is integrated. In the left hand side, you can see databases and your development where you can perform your analytical scripts, then integrated other components. If you want to integrate with other resources, we can do it. Monitoring capabilities are there. Pipeline monitoring triggers, like this is pretty much your all your jobs you are running CI/CD process, which you can also monitor. Then you also have management control for granting access and stuff like that. So now, as I said, like I have some sample data which I would like to upload to linked my workspace, and this is my file storage where I'm going to upload my file which I have the sample New York sample data. So the now sample data is uploaded, and this data you can view in a various model. Like if I go to property, so these are the URL for accessing that in from any resources. I click cancel. If you need to just know like the data sitting in this one, so if I go to the develop area where I have the develop and then new script and say select top 100 rows. Here you can see this construction happen. This is the URL we were talking about. This is my workspace, which has the file system where I also have a sample data. If I run this, okay, it is select database. No, what is missing? Yeah, it's running. So here you can see the outcome of the sample database. You have the taxi content, sample content for only for our demos. We'll be using this sample data, but today we have some high level demos. So now we will create one data exploring database. As I mentioned, like when you go here, you can see the option of creating your new databases. And when you're creating that, you can also select whether you wanted a serverless or a dedicated. Serverless is more of like on demand, and dedicated is more of like reserved instance. But other items, one remember here in Synapse, you are not going to pay for the resources. You are going to pay for the query analysis time, like if the number of queries taken to process your result. Your cost is based on the processing, not based on the resources. So now in the demo, we will just create some exploration database. So normally you can run with the master, but we'll create another one for us. So if I just go here, remove, and I say like create database called the data exploration DB. I'm going to run it. Now complete select. Okay, it's created. Then we will just quickly switch it to refresh. So we'll just create one more data source for connecting to the sample data we have. So here I will say MK. So our data source also created with that account. Then I'm just going to create one sample logins for the Data Explorer. You can just say some sample password. What is happened? Failed. Okay. Okay. This is just to demonstrate, like not specific to any scenario, right? This is just to demonstrate what are the controls available through portal. You can perform your activities. That just demos based on that. So now we have created the exploring databases, and with that we are going to connect our data which we have, sample data. So this is the sample data we have, which I'm going to run query against that to see the top 100, which I can explore. Addition to that, we have we talk about the Apache Spark, right? So how Apache Spark is also supported. This is more of like analyzing using serverless SQL, right? We have not created any dedicated pool, or we just used everything in the out of the box serverless running queries. So in case you wanted to perform any SQL, the Apache Spark based, you can just go to your manage. And go to the Apache Spark tools and create a new pool where you can say your name, and you can select the number of resources you need for the Apache Spark. This is going to be this node is needed for running your query, but because it's a sample thing, you can say number of resources, what are the numbers you need, and then just to create it. So once you created your Apache Spark pool, you can perform your Apache Spark related queries, which I can show some samples like how it happened, but we need a when we go into deep dive sessions related to all this topic, we can actually see like how in the real time works. But today's we'll just close it with the high level how these components provides the settings. Okay, the Apache Spark created. I go there, I can see the settings. Now I can create, going back to my development, where I can create a new notebook. And then you can see here like how we run, like running a code cell where you just paste your Apache Spark related query languages. So ours is okay. And when you run this, you're actually taking into your session where you will, again, this Apache Spark, it's not, cost is not by the node we provision, it's based on the session which is running. Okay, sorry, I have to select yeah, Spark, and then see, because that's the poll we created, right? So then I run it. So the session is started. Once you start starting session, once the session is started, during this time, whatever the performance you are running, so the cost is based on the time duration the session was running. It's not based on the resources you selected or the node you provisioned. So other things, like as I mentioned, like SQL based, you can do a query, or you can perform analytical based on Apache Spark. And you can also have a management layer where you can say your access controls, you can manage through here. And you can also integrate with your Git repositories for all the pipeline CI/CD related queries. So this comes with your complete package for data warehouse. As I mentioned, this is a parallel processing computer technology, like what we used in the past SQL data warehouse. It's a modern version of cloud-based data warehousing. Also, it's closely integrated with the other technologies, which is gives you a complete package. Okay. Is there any question from this high-level Azure Synapse? Like, do you have any specific questions? Okay, if you don't have any question, I think this session will be ending now. So maybe like after long back we coming back, like we just wanted to go through the some simple process. Then the next week onwards, I will post a message before what is the topic we'll be discussing. I think so today most of the topics are covered in the like completed for the data platform. Then probably like we can pick up for developers need, like in our group we have lots of developers, right? So they may need to understand some messaging, broking, queue technologies, how serverless works, how Azure function works. So we can probably take some example in these two topics. By completing that, we will have some more developer related knowledges we can gain. So I will close the session today, and from next week we can talk about this queuing and serverless Azure functions. If you have any questions or anything, please email me or message me.
Yeah.